Hey guys, good morning. This is Gabriel here. I'm here with Rocky, and we're kicking off founders and business conversations here on Rock SEO. Today's guest is Vojtech, which is one of my connections that I recently met in Prague, and the topic will be the NIS2 Directive. So let's dive in. Okay, guys, here we are back. So I recently had the opportunity of meeting Vojtech in Prague at a networking event at Opera, where you went there for some connections as well, right?
Yes, well, I am actually a member of Opera, but it was like second networking I visited there.
Yeah, and for me, it was a bit new, so I will be moving to Prague soon, so that's definitely a place I will consider. But let's start with a small intro. Can you tell about yourself, what you do, what people can know about you?
So, hi, I'm Vojtech. I'm freelance cybersecurity consultant. I try to focus more on like smaller companies, small and medium-sized businesses. And I used to work in corporations, mainly focusing on providing, like last was providing businesses with cybersecurity solutions. Before I was also part of some like internal security team. So I have some background mostly in technical stuff, but because of my studies and the like general type of the work, I know also about like the cybersecurity laws that are like affecting me personally, and some certifications or like some standards, some requirements. So
Yeah,
that's why I'm here.
it's super. Thank you, Vojtech. Good. It's a good to know background. But this is super interesting because we connected after the meeting in Prague, and then you were telling me about this, and I thought, hang on a second, there will be so many people in my network, especially, that are probably exposed to these risks, especially the NIS2 directive, and they will have no clue about it. And especially they will have no clue about what to do or if they are affected. So this is what we will cover today. So let's start with our first question. Why this matters right now and the NIS2 directive?
It matters right now, especially here in Czech Republic, because as a directive, it needs to be transposed into the local law, which is compared to GDPR, which was like had the same date when it came into effect, like in whole European Union. So it's different state from state. So like in Czech Republic now, it's new hot topic. Actually, like the deadline was like right here, like 1st January for like registration.
For compliance, you mean already is in place?
Yes. Like, but it doesn't really matter much if you forgot, if you are like now realize you are affected, like do it as soon as you know, as soon as you discover that you should register to the regulatory authority. Sorry, there might be some mispronunciation from me.
No problem. That's so interesting. Please go on.
So the main thing is it does not affect everybody. It is only like focusing on some key industries, but they are like kind of wide. For example, in Czech, it can differ also like state from state. There is like some minimal baseline set by the regulation or set by the directive. But for example, like every state can make it more stricter, more like wider. They can like increase the requirements for the companies, for the entities. It's not just companies, it's also in Czech Republic, it's also public sector. For example, every like slightly bigger city that has some status needs to comply with the regulation. Every university, some researching facilities.
But so pretty much any business across the board can be affected by this.
Especially if it's larger than 50 employees or has bigger turnover than 10 million euros a year. It's mainly focusing, like, it's not every business. It's for example, transportation business, waste management, food producing companies, of course, some like healthcare providers. But the main thresholds are the 50 employees, but it's not like for every of the service. For example, if you provide public DNS service, you are affected no matter how big you are. But it needs to be like for general public usage.
Right. Okay, we'll get into more details later. So can you go in more details and explain effectively, at what point we have, you explain now is applying from 1st of January, but more in detail, if my company, for example, I do growth consulting, and we're not that big at 50 plus employees. So in this case, it will not apply. But if we were big, let's say if I had 50 plus employees, and if I had a over 10 million euro turnaround, could it apply to me as well?
You would need to provide one of the services that is specified in the law. For example, cloud computing. I don't think there is marketing. I don't remember going over like some marketing, but definitely if you are providing like cybersecurity services, if you are providing finance services, also like some other legislations are like much stricter you are required to abide by, but like it's not general like for every business, but like mostly for like critical. It used to be only for like critical infrastructures and services, but now it's like more wide, and it can get like more general the next iteration. I believe it can. There will be like some baseline for everyone like soon.
Yeah.
Like in few years.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Thank you, Vojtech. That's already getting confusing, and that's why you're here to explain, because I'm a little confused still.
I understand.
Yeah, and that's why we're having this conversation as well. So let's go to the next point. What is actually required from a business?
So from a business that falls in one of the industries that is regulated or provides the service that is like specified, I will talk in more detail, like especially in these specifics, like based on the Czech legislation.
Yeah.
But it may be different for like different countries. So they first need to figure out if they are in the country that already transposed this into the law, which there is actually like some kind of nice map. I can send you a link I have it here, the European Cybersecurity Organization, which is...
Yeah, we'll have it down in the comments so for the viewers.
Which has like this nice map of like the states of who has it transposed it or like implemented it or not. And for example, Czech Republic transposed it right now. I think also Germany did like in December last year, so like also like freshly introduced. And there are also some descriptions how it differs from state to state. So first you need to figure out whether you are like one of the industries that is like actually affected.
Yeah.
Then if the country you are in has implemented it into its law, and how, because also the requirements can be different state from state, I believe. But there are like some similarities. For example, you need to self-identify. So nobody will come and knock on your door and say to you, now you are regulated. No, you need to go to the agency. Every state has like its own agency, like that is responsible for cybersecurity or like this registration actually.
Yeah.
In Czech, it's the NUKIP, which is like our national cybersecurity agency. And after you register, they need to like notify you back, like, hey, we know about you. You are registered at this. It has also like in Czech Republic, it has 2 levels of different requirements. One stricter, one less stricter. Of course, it's common sense that if you have less employees, like for example, 6, you are some small clinic with 60 employees, you have less stricter requirements than like larger hospital with 300 like employees.
Yeah.
And then you have another like year to start implementing some other like some requirements. that are like more tied to the concrete steps, like you need to identify like assets you have, what type of assets those are, and you need to start like actually proposing how you will make them more secure.
Right. So what you mentioned about, let's say, the two options, one being less strict and the other more strict, I think it does make sense, because the more employees you have, the more complexity you have, the more risks potentially. Is it something along those lines? A bit more detail, obviously, but
Also, like you can imagine you have like more capacity to do something about it. Also, like cybersecurity, and it's more about like proportionality. The measures you implement need to be proportionate to your size, your budget, number of employees. You have like also like more like risk. You are bigger. You are more affected by it. You also provide services to more clients, more public. Also, like some of the industries are regulated not by the size of the business itself, but by the number of clients. For example, some telecommunication companies, I think there is like, if you are internet service provider and you have like more than 100,000 households, you are regulated. If you have less, you are not. And it's nuanced like this.
Right. So
also you can, sorry. I was just thinking that if you have like one guy doing your whole IT, you now cannot like have like another independent like cybersecurity manager. Like that is like a requirement actually for like the stricter tier is like you have to have like dedicated cybersecurity manager. That's like his whole role is dealing with this.
That was my next question, actually. I mean, we're going slightly off track, but I think it's a good track. So if you are a business, let's say medium, one of those that will be affected, what do you recommend a business to do, as in to assess the risk? That, for example, ideally they can come to you, you provide an assessment, but let's say in the long term and for the foreseeable future, should they hire a cybersecurity expert to keep in-house, or is more of a one-off consultation that maybe every quarter they need to do? So what would you recommend, if I have some people come to me, hey, Gab, I heard that, what should I do? What would be a good advice to give here?
The important is that like all of the measures implemented need to be like tailored to the business needs. So the person that is actually recommending them or responsible for creating them needs to understand what is your business, how your employees behave. It can be, because it's not like strict rules, like nobody can't have like super user permissions, or be administrator. There are companies that actually like need to like be able to make those decisions themselves, and they need to like balance the risk. I think definitely it's depends on the business itself, and it's not like one solution fits everyone. Like not everybody, if you have 60 employees and one IT guy, you will not hire one other guy just for cybersecurity. Maybe you will have like one more IT guy that will do cybersecurity and something else. Or you can get a consultant to like prepare a timeline. For example, you will start like getting some services from some companies, and that needs to be like tailored to your needs. It can't be about just like ticking a box. That's not actually the purpose of the regulation. It's mostly about like increasing the overall cybersecurity baseline, and just the requirement is mostly like you need to stop and think about it and figure out a solution for you. And nobody will punish you if you do it wrong, or if it costs more money, or if you forget something. I think like mostly the regulatory authority will come, they will check, they will say, okay, you are doing this, you should be doing this instead. You have like this like few months to make it, to change it. So they will not like give you a fine. That they can be like very high, the fines, but mostly they will like do it. They will fine you only when you like knew that you were supposed to do something, but you did not because you prefer like it would cost us too much money. so you just like ignored it, then you will get some like pretty like big fine. But like if you think like, hey, I like looked at the legislation, I don't think I am regulated, but like later, like they will say, no, you were. It should be just like you start like filling the regulation or like the requirements like later, kind of. The most important is don't stress about it much.
I think that's a good advice, just like in life, right? But some businesses do stress about things, and I think for business owners especially, they want to know, because they have so many things to think about. Imagine a busy CEO, wants to have everything in order, but you will have, of course, people in the business. So I think, yes, at some levels of IT, this needs to be known. And maybe a CEO even doesn't need to know everything, right? So you don't need to know literally everything, but probably be aware of it. Just so, in terms of fines, can we just touch on this one? Because the CEO will care about that. The founder.
Yes, it's good argument when like the IT guy knows they are lacking something. When the CEO is saying like, no, we don't have money for it, and now you will come and you will say like, hey, but like if you don't do this, we can get like in Czech, it's like up to 250 million or like 2% of total turnover.
It's like quick math. Is it €1 million more or less?
Yes, it's €1 million.
Okay, so but this significant money, but this will be for a larger company. Can we also just give an idea? Or
yes, it would be from like some big company. Like it's not that like a small like health clinic would get this. It would be like kind of liquidating for it. It's I don't think they would fine you like easily. It's kind of hard. You really need to neglect your duties like severely to get this big fine.
Next point, we have some examples, guys. Let's talk about some 3 to 4 examples, or what to make it more actionable, practical.
Like some, it's kind of easy with the like healthcare example. If you are like one doctor with like 1-2 nurses, one administrative assistant or somebody, like you are not affected by this regulation like at all. You have like different regulations you care about, but this is like you are too small for it. But if you are like small clinic, as we talked about, the threshold is like 50 employees or like 10 million euros, I think, turnover. So you are affected. You will be in the lower or like important entities. I think it's the
like a level,
yes. It's the level is the lower requirements, which means that you don't have to have like dedicated cybersecurity manager. You just have to have like some person that is responsible for this, and this person also is like contact for the authorities. It's the one actually you will get like the information of like the person, like the name, number, and email and stuff to the authorities when you register. And then there are like some other requirements that you need to start like filling. Like they need to be like trained by like in the topics of cybersecurity, but not as much as the person dedicated for it. But in a general level, they should know, and it needs to be like regular activity. And it's not just the CEO; it's the whole like management board. They need to be, and they need to actually like be part of the process. It's not that like they don't have to care. It's the duty of the cybersecurity manager. Cybersecurity's duty is that they know and they care.
Yeah. And about another practical example of what other type of business. I think the clinic is a good example, no? Let's say, for example, business consulting or a construction company, or I don't know, a coffee company with many employees.
Like coffee company, it very much depends if you find your like company in the list. I will just like check it. Like the coffee company is interesting because there is the food manufacturer category, and might actually fall into
because they will
that
have many
a bit.
employees, right? The coffee company.
If they are big enough,
It could.
they could. Like,
think about we have here nearby where I'm now, Ili Cafe. Probably you know Ili. It's Italian.
yes,
And so in Trieste, which is incidentally my hometown, we have the headquarters. So I think they have a lot of employees. That one is a big coffee company.
yeah, if you are like a food manufacturer, like bigger than 50 employees, then you are affected by it. Like it depends. In like they are using actually like the law itself. It has like many like terms defined in some other laws. So like in like it's a manufacturing company that is like by definition of some like law. I will check the EU.
The naming convention, probably the specific term.
Yeah, it's like requirements of food law as publishing. So if you're like food manufacturing company that is like according the EU regulation number 178 2002.
But I think one good Vojtech, one
yes,
key thing is the number of employees, right? That's a one.
Definitely.
Easy.
It's the common threshold in all of the industries. But like food manufacturing, I would guess that Ili is either like food manufacturer, or it can be even if food distributors are like affected, or like some other, as we said before, like digital agencies also affected. If you are like hosting provider or like cloud computing provider of like, and you have at least 50 employees, you are affected by it.
Yeah, and I do have some of those in my network, so I can imagine some questions there. Okay, thank you for that, Vojtech. I think you have some slides to show us.
We'll talk about it. It was actually like it required to be transposed into laws by October 2024, but everybody, like most of the countries, were past the deadline, Czech Republic included. We introduced it last year. Yes, but there is the link for the that's the text of the law. I have like next some like basic information about here, the transposition. This was like some interesting research I found today. I was just like, it's kind of also like, because it's a buzzword, as was like GDPR.
Yeah, it was, right? Yeah.
Yes. So it's like a lot of information everywhere. Sometimes it's like you will find like pieces of the text that are not even like from the final text. It's kind of like overwhelming. So I understand for like people that like do not
speak the language, right?
Stuff. Yeah. Yes, or speak language. It might be different. Or difficult.
I mean, speaking the language as in the technical terms, not English or Czech. I mean, yeah.
Yes. And even if you like know the technical stuff, it's hard sometimes to know or understand what the lawmaker
legislators
intended.
That's how they make it, and that's why businesses are really confused, and that's why it's important to find someone that can at least help navigate this.
So here we can see that like Czech Republic is like dark blue, which is like that it's transposed. So I'm
surprised like, Italy is, look at that. Italy
is also, yes. And like even like kind of like early, like in 2024.
Okay. Good Italy then.
But like France, it's not yet. Like maybe it's not right. I have no idea if like this. It's also like not like official EU.
I mean, if it's up to date, it's true. And this is the challenge, guys. Also, with the things changing so rapidly, is tricky to get up-to-date information. So
yeah, I think this is like some non-governmental organization that is like uniting some like both companies and like public entities.
Yeah.
So
seems legit. I mean, let's think this one is up to date.
Yeah, they have like the last updates, which is like good, because there was some like other which was just saying that the European Commission like sent like letters to like 19 states that like they did not transpose it yet. Here we can see like some like specification of the scope that like it's the medium-sized and large enterprises, which is like medium is the 50 and large enterprises is 250 employees, significant for provision services. Yes. Also, there is like few other requirements we did not talk about, and one is like incident reporting, and it has like very strict deadlines. If you have a significant incident, which is incident that significantly impacts the service you are providing. So, for example, if you are a healthcare provider, if you cannot open or serve the public, it's significant incident. But if it's just like something small, some small disruption, it does not it's not considered. So you need to report it in 24 hours. And it's even like when you don't know, even if it's like accident or it was some attack, and then there are like some other deadlines.
Sorry if I interrupt. One incident, what could it be? Let's say a leak of private emails, of patients' emails, something concrete. What could it be, a concrete example of an incident?
Like leak of private information, I think that would not be actually like, it's an incident, but it's not like significant incident, I would guess, because it does not disrupt the service itself.
I mean, it's bad, but it doesn't break things.
You would still have to report it to affected customers because of GDPR and to the regulating authorities. So it's not by NIS2, but for example, if it was some DDoS that your like main website that is like used for registering businesses. For example, I think like even like the Cloudflare outage that was like recently is actually a significant incident because it's cloud computing or domain name service provider. The outage affected like majority of its customers, and even if it's not also, like malicious attack, it still is like actually like until you know it was accident, it says incident.
That's a good example actually. So then Cloudflare themselves, they have thousands and thousands of clients, and then they should have reported it. Is that correct, or am I wrong here?
To my knowledge, I think yes, it would be considered incident according to NIS2. It depends on the country they are actually like based in EU. I would guess it might be Ireland or something similar. They would have to report it in 24 hours, within 24 hours to authorities. And then like they will communicate. It also like it's important because the NIS2 does not set like requirements directly for the entities, for the companies, but it sets the requirements for law in the member countries. So there are like some other requirements on the like national certs about cooperation and coordinating about like when it comes to incidents, and one would get that like international cooperation. If it's like something bigger, some like huge attack, I can imagine there might be some like disruption in the future that is like actually also like some like nation state attack. That would require some cooperation.
So then another thing businesses need to be on top of, this incident reporting. I didn't think about it. So true, not a headache, something to be aware of that they have to comply with.
Yes, they have to like report the incidents, but also there is like other like thing, and that is that like the Czech regulatory agency is publishing warnings and orders, and you have to comply with those also. Those are definitely specific per like state. I'm not sure if it's like how it's implemented elsewhere, but in Czech Republic we have also like very courageous institute like agency that like even like published a warning against Huawei and against cooperating or sending data to China. So when you like are affected by this and you are in Czech Republic, you have to, when you are like getting a supplier, need to like consider all the warnings and orders by the regulatory agency. And so you need to, if you are buying new phone, it needs to be proportionate, you know? So if you are like getting your phones for like, I don't know, if you are like waste management company and your drivers have phones, probably those.
And you have, I think I'm getting it. So, and you have 1,000 employees and you buy all your phones from China, like provided with Chinese software, then you might have a problem, something along those lines.
It might be like, especially if you buy like phones for management, or if you buy like network infrastructure from some companies. Also, there was warning against like using DeepSeek AI. So if you are like have like some measure to like, for example, notify your employees that they are not allowed to put company data into DeepSeek AI. And if you are big enough and you can afford it, you might be even like required to block it. maybe.
Which
But
happened to
it's
some companies. I think I was reading about Samsung HQ, if I'm not wrong, in Korea, and they actually block their employees using ChatGPT. Is literally blocked on the company infrastructure internally. So
it's the safest solution, I guess.
yeah,
If like that,
because
like
someone uploaded, I don't know what. So I don't want to get sued. So I will not tell the good story here. But there was something they used it to. They uploaded something they shouldn't have, and then it was out there, and then it was a big mess. So then they shut it down. If I remember the story.
just to clarify, the like warnings and like that I mentioned are specific to like the Czech environment. So if you are like affected by NIS2 and you are from Italy, it might be totally different.
Yeah, good point, guys. So most of the talks here with Vojtech applies to Czech, although there is a broader EU infrastructure here and applications. So please, this has to be checked on a case-to-case basis here. I think this is the where we're getting at. So, but please
yes,
continue. Yeah, who is affected? This
as
is
we
so
mentioned,
earlier.
it's
Yeah.
about the regulated sectors. The sectors might be also slightly different by the national like implementations. So like first, you definitely need to check like in your like country the law specific that is to like you are affected by if your company is there or not. But like
Yeah.
it can be hard. I was helping like academic institution that is like on first glance they are affected because they are in like the list of the like actual like types of the
Type of company.
institutions
Yeah.
affected. Yes.
Yeah.
They're not like company because they are like partly public.
Like academic sort of.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it was later discovered by consultation with the regulatory authority that actually like the intention of the law is to protect applied research. And because the academic institution is not actually like this specific one was not doing like applied research, and it was mostly focusing on primary research,
Right.
they are not actually affected by it. So don't be afraid to consult the regulatory authority or like, you know, sometimes even like lawyers don't have all the answers, but like actually the authority that will give you the fine will gladly like answer your question if like for example the service you are providing is the one that is meant by the legislation.
Yeah.
So I would guess also like Czech NUKIP has like great amount of resources. Although it can be some overwhelming, they are really trying to make it easier. They even publish some calculator, but for some types of institutions, it's much easier to directly go into the law and just like look at the list and like see like, are we there?
Yeah, and then
for
step by step. Like first, are we big enough? Yes or no? Take step by step. I think it's a good advice. You don't be overwhelmed by it. Okay, something you need to be aware of, and then see if you're affected. If you are affected, then try to do something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, like we talked about the doctors, like I had it there just like that, the different types of like the size of the healthcare institution.
Yeah.
It also have indirect impact on you if you are a supplier to a regulated entity, because it actually like one of the requirements is that you have to have like supplier management. You have to like make a list of the most important suppliers you have that like their disruption would affect your service, and you have to notify the suppliers that they're on your list. And you are required actually to put some of the measures into the contracts with them. So
wait. This is getting more complicated now. Can we make another example, please, for our audience?
Yes, if you are a hospital and you have some like provider that is like providing you with maybe, I don't know, like the management of the servers, and they are like not big enough to be
external
regulated.
So the hospital employs cloud IT web something.
Yes.
Is that okay?
And it can be like small, like provider that is like doesn't have like 50 employees. You are still, if you are the hospital, if the disruption of their service would affect your service,
yeah,
which if they are providing with your email website,
I think is a good example. Look, okay, I take my company as an example. So we don't have 50 employees. We don't make 10 million, maybe one day, but anyway, for now, not. But I do use a hosting service, which of course has thousands of websites and thousands of clients. So if my hosting provider goes down, it will affect, or as an incident, it will affect my business. Yes. Because then John that wants a business consulting cannot load gabrielinari.com, my website. That's a good example.
Easily, yes, that's a good example. But if you are like hospital and the servers that this hosting company are like core for your business, for example, you cannot like
accounts of
treat
patients, they cannot register new patient emergency.
They cannot register.
Something.
You cannot check the patient registry. You cannot provide. You are required to like have like appropriate measures. That's the proportionate is very like important here, because they cannot like force you to do it. You still need to agree with the contract. So
yeah, because they cannot force my hosting company. Hey, you need to do that. What can I do if they don't? It's their choice after all, right? Of the second, third
so
party.
if you all like, it's usually it's fine if you already have contract with these companies. The contracts cannot be changed, but if you renew the contract, or you need to at least like try to amend it, for example, to require them to notify you if they have some cybersecurity incident that would affect your service.
Yeah.
So
thank you for that. And so, because I think with the examples it's much easier. And you're right. The hospital has many many examples for understanding. So true. Someone cannot register as a new patient because the server is down. The incident and the disruption will be significant because they cannot start typing things by hand. Imagine a big hospital has a 500 incidents in 1 hour. It will be a big disruption effectively.
It might, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So good. Let's continue with the incidents.
Yeah, I have like we talked about like the short checklist. If you are in the industry that is regulated,
yeah,
you need to check like the local laws first. What's the status? Determine whether you fall within the scope, and that you are required to register if you do fall in the scope. And then after that, you need to start implementing the measures. So it's like not like right now you need to do something. You just need to consider it. If you are, then you need to start.
This is good as a checklist, because even me, I'm thinking, does this apply to me? But no, we're 50 below, the income is low, so to Rocketio does not apply in this case.
Yes, and also you are not like in the critical industry. Like me, I'm just like consulting people or companies, so I'm also like not regulated.
Yeah,
but if I would provide like some service, then I might be.
Yeah, and if I can ask, out of businesses you consulted with, were there some that were surprised to be affected, and they thought, oh, this does not apply to me? Again, the usual hospital case, or was there any? Because I'm thinking maybe someone is watching and they have a certain type of business, and they were particularly surprised. Oh, this applies to me. Was there any particular big surprise that you have to deal with?
I don't think there was like big surprise. I know that like some of the like services that are required are like kind of surprising. I'm not really sure about the domain name one. It might be like very like something that I don't understand, but I know that it can be tricky, especially in the digital services. But also with the energy industry, there are actually requirements not based of the like employees, but sometimes there is like requirement if like about like the amount of power you produce,
right?
Or like how big you are, like how many households or like end customers you service. So you don't need to think just about like, am I big enough? Because if you are not like in the industry that is affected by it, it doesn't matter how big you are. You just are not. But if you are one of the industries, for example, if you are in the energy sector, or like, just don't be hesitant to check the requirements. If you might be surprised that even though you have like less than 50 employees, there might be some like exception, like just for you. But like, just don't panic. Don't just be calm, keep calm, and like just check it out, and you will see.
That's so good to hear. By the way, I'm getting some maybe final questions now. Between the amount of employees and the turnover, which one is the more? I mean, if you this, then you have the. For example, I'm thinking, some SaaS companies, and I have in my network several founders of SaaS tools, etc. So some of them are really lean, the companies, and I don't think they have 50 employees. However, they've done very well, so they're very successful. So the revenue potentially could be, let's say, 10 million plus. So will they be still affected?
If they're like, it's like the threshold is one or another. So if you are big enough, like financially, it's mostly, it's like common logic, that like common sense, that if you have money for it, like it's easier for you, you know. And but like if you have like too many employees, it's also like you have some manpower. They are not trying to like how to say, like destroy businesses or like to make it too hard for them, you know. It's like if you are like small company with like few employees and you are not making huge amount of money, you are probably not affected. But if you are making huge amount of money and you are in the sector that is regulated, you probably will be affected. So like if you are passing the threshold, if you have 10 employees, and you are passing the 10 million threshold, you are actually like mid-sized business, just by the turnover.
Good. This is good. I think
Also, I am not a lawyer, and there are like some nuances about like some different like measurements. I would consult like either like your accountant, maybe if they can check and understand like if you pass this like threshold, and our lawyer, of course.
Yeah, we appreciate this, and of course, this is not legal advice, but the advice is that potentially a cybersecurity consultant, I think, might work / consult with a lawyer for a specific company, working together, right, for this.
Yeah, I recently I was at this like law conference about like public policy, and one thing was that like they all gladly like remembered the old times of GDPR and how easy was it to make money, because like everybody panicked and just like
everybody was not compliant.
No, not that they were not compliant. They were afraid about the fines, and it was like this buzzword. So I think like NIS2 is kind of similar. People are trying to like sell you their services. So it might be like it depends on your budget, on what are you afraid of. If you have a huge budget, consult your lawyers. It's like the easiest thing you can do. If you don't, like I was thinking like that I should warn people of using like ChatGPT and similar services like language models to like understand if they are affected by the law.
That's a good point. Yeah, should people try to get some basic info with chat, or you think it's risky?
It's very risky. It's very risky because I would guess the like AI will try to
answer regardless.
Regardless, like they would try to satisfy your question. So if you would ask, am I affected by this? I think they might like, they don't understand the problems. It might, if you are like using like with caution and you like put in the law and put in the definition of the company and explain what your company is, it might give you like good answer that is like valid. But I'm not sure that like if you already have this information, you can just like decide yourself. And
but it's true, the amount of information you have to disclose, then it will be significant, and then it will be your call whether or not you want to disclose with the AI, in fact. And we know that there are some settings where the data can be preserved. I advise everybody to turn this on, but it can be off, and then therefore it can be used for internal training. But because it's right, it's complex, I would say, input and output from what your company policies, internal, whatever they do, plus then the legislation. So before you will make an informed decision, you have to think how much you have to give to the tool. So I would say maybe just to have an idea about what NIS2 is, but then to have a consultation, I wouldn't use it personally in this case.
Yes. Also, like if like somebody then like questions this decision, you know, like somebody will come, the regulatory authority, and ask you like, how did you decide that you were not affected?
I asked ChatGPT.
Like it's not valid response. It might be valid response if you give the arguments that the ChatGPT returned to but they still need to be the like valid arguments. They need to exist. You can't like use hallucinated law. You can't use some examples that are like mismatched with the definition. So also like in case like the company is not affected, it's still like kind of good to make auditable trace of the decision that the company is not affected. And if like later the regulatory authority will knock on your doors and say like, hey, like you had this incident, you had to report it because you are regulated, because you like fall into this, you if you have the decision like that you made in past, they might not fine you because they would like see like, hey, like you tried, you made a decision based on this argument, it was like wrong. But if you did not know it was wrong, or if you like had like good intent, I think the intentions are really like the most important stuff. But it's hard to prove intentions. So it's good to have auditable trace of the decision. Like we did not comply, like we are not regulated by this law. Of course, if you are not in the industry, if you are like marketing specialist, nobody will care. Like it's you don't have to like make a document that you are not affected. Like, but if you are in the energy business, or if you are providing digital services,
insurance provider,
yes, then like it might be good even if you have less than 50 employees to have document that says like, we like are in this industry, we have less than 50 employees, therefore we decided that we are not like regulated by this. So yeah, and also the important thing is it's like the requirements are like here to stay. So even if you are not now like falling into this category, you might like grow. You are an energy company that just started like 10 years ago, but you are slowly growing. So in like few years, you will like cross the benchmark of the like 50 employees, of the 10 million euros. And now you are affected, and you have 60 days from that moment to register and 1 year to start implementing the requirements. Or if you decide to provide a service, so like these services you have
something
like
new
now,
yes,
are not like regulated. But if you say like, hey, we did this really good, we want to provide this service to third parties, then you might start like you become I don't know, cloud provider or like some
or you
stuff like
acquired.
that.
It could be, this is a good example you brought up. It could be you do an acquisition, right? So you acquire another company to bring under your portfolio of companies, and therefore you'll be
it might be tricky with the acquisition, because like the company you like acquire is like maybe smaller, so they are not passing the threshold. But if you like join the companies together, now they are like one.
Consolidate,
If you consolidate them, then like you may pass the threshold, and you provide the service. So for now you are affected by it. But I'm not a lawyer. It might be like very like nuanced discussion, especially like with these like acquisitions of like also how the companies are structured. And if you like,
I think this is just, for this series has been perfect for a conversation. Any closing remarks on the topic?
I think like just don't panic. It's just another regulation. I think it's just best to think about it like, what's the intention of it? And it's like to increase security. For example, in the institution that was like not affected in the end by it, we already started to like make a database of the assets and who is like responsible for them. We decided actually to continue with it because it's like it's not that like you want to tick this like box that like, yes, I am like fulfilling these requirements. It's like we want to prevent like cyber attacks. We want to prevent like some incidents that might happen if we don't know about our assets. So it's maybe good to look at it and to think about it like, can I use it now to make my company more secure? And even if you are just like marketing company or agency, you might still like want to look at this like baseline that like somebody said this is a law for this business or like for these industries, and maybe you can take something from it even for yourself.
Yeah.
So
Or companies could also look at other companies of similar size that they've been affected and then go, hey, this will affect to us as well. You know, if there's some, I don't know if that's a viable strategy, but potentially, I think.
Like if you have like some significant incident, it's not just about the fines for not reporting them. It's also like about like you can't make money. You know, you are losing clients, you are losing reputation. It's not about just like fulfilling this like complying with the law. It's about like preventing the negative outcomes like in general.
Yeah. Look, this was a great conversation. I think many people in my network and our channel will find this very, very helpful, although more questions will arise. Where can people find you if someone wants to, you know, dig deeper into NIS2 or ask you for a consultation?
Like currently, this is to find me is like through LinkedIn. So if you like tag me or like give like link there, I'm like trying to create this like smaller cybersecurity company, but it's the song of the future. It's not current. So LinkedIn is the best to reach me. And if you have some questions, like just also you can ask me. Like I will try to help you. But
okay, so for people in my network, then if you want to reach Vojtech, please look him up on LinkedIn. If you can't find him, you can ask me, and then I'll refer you to him, and you can direct him your questions. So you're available then for consultations pretty much around Europe. Is that correct?
I will do my best. Like if I know something is above my head, you know, I have no issue like saying like I will try to help you. I will try to find like the direction you should take, or like maybe there will be some like better business.
Thank you, Vojtech, for being a guest here on Rock SEO Business Conversations. It was really a pleasure having you here. I want to close this with a bit of a follow-up question. If we could nominate a business or maybe another founder to participate, is there anything which you'll find particularly interesting?
I don't know. Like we talked about the coffee, so it would be nice to like have something from more like southern part of Europe, something like more connected to some culture and some nice topics that is not just like regulations or like
businessy heavy,
big business. Yes.
Okay, we'll do our best. Thank you so much. And once again, please give us a like and subscribe to Rock SEO YouTube channel. Thanks, guys. See you soon.